Hey guys, it's Christian from Lost in Discovery and welcome back to the channel. I'm so happy because today is a day where I'm talking about One Piece. I have read a bunch more One Piece and I know I'm not finished the East Blue Saga yet, but dude, there's a lot to talk about here. So today we are going to be talking about the Syrup Village and the Baratie arc. And you know what? In my head I was saying Baratie the whole time, but I asked my One Piece friends again, how the hell am I meant to say this? I feel like I'm going to mess this up. And thank you those people for correcting me. So in my last One Piece video, I gave you my first impressions of the first 3 volumes and I was pretty much in love from the get-go. And I'm pleased to tell you that love has only grown stronger and more meaningful, and it's a beautiful relationship I'm developing here with One Piece. So let's start off with Syrup Village. In Syrup Village, we are introduced to a new member of the Straw Hat crew, which is Usopp. And Usopp, you know, when I first saw him, I'm like, oh, it's that guy that I see everywhere with the nose and the hair. And I didn't know what to make of him first because he seemed kind of annoying, running through the town, saying pirates are coming when they're not, and not really, but kind of taking advantage of these kids. And you know what, like at the beginning it was very, very cute, and I liked seeing how much he was trying to impress Kaya, and that was just a really nice introduction to this character, but it didn't really sell me on him straight away. The part that really got me into the Syrup Village arc was when we find out the true identity of Kaya's butler. Was it a butler? Well, whoever. Captain Kuro. This dude, the commitment level from this guy to be her, basically her servant, and love her and care for her for 3 years, all to end up killing her and taking the inheritance from her family. Man, this is a guy who appreciates a good plan and has patience, unlike very few characters I've read. I just loved how quintessentially evil Kuro was, and this is where I started to really get into the story at Syrup Village. And again, as the story is continuing, we got so much more camaraderie and nice moments between the trio so far of Zoro, Nami, and Luffy. Why did I forget Luffy's name? Usopp, at first I didn't understand how he was going to fit in, but as the fight progressed and as I saw how honorable his intentions were with Kaya and how much I was rooting for him when he was trying to convince everyone he was telling the truth for once he was catching on to this whole massive scheme, I really wanted him to succeed and I really wanted him to join our gang. And you know what? I did enjoy Usopp for most of this, but what really got me very, very attached to him was actually seeing his backstory with his father that was a pirate and his sick mother, and how much what he was doing was to kind of cope with this tragic decline of his mother's health. And it just made me see this kind of silly character with kind of goofy characteristics in a new light. And that's a theme One Piece has continued with going into the next arc, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But I just really appreciated how Oda really takes the time, even though it's goofy and silly, if he wants you to understand a character motivation or a backstory, he delves into it properly, and it can change a character from almost a one-note vibe to something much more nuanced. And even though it's a quick flashback, and even though it's a light kind of part of the entire story, it really hit me harder than I thought it would, and it made me really see Usopp in a way that I see the rest of the crew. And you know what? Seeing his face light up and packing that giant bag and running out of his house and rolling down the hill to the new pirate ship, by the way, which is a thing, but it was just such a heartwarming moment. And I really hope we see Kaya and the 3 boys again, Onion, and I forgot the other 2's names, but those guys were cute, and them saying goodbye and crying to their first pirate captain. Man, it was nice. It was just a really good time to read, and I loved the fight scene that happened there, and that kind of like, not really like a canyon, but you know what I'm talking about. That fight scene was really entertaining, and I started to pick up on something in this series, and I want you guys to tell me if I'm reading too much into it or I'm onto something here. I'm starting to see that certain like things that are silly actually mean things in One Piece, and are there like animal human hybrid races in One Piece, or is this going to be a weird soundbite? I was looking at Kaya's, not Kuro, the other man who worked for her, and one of the members of Buggy's crew, and they have like these ears that are like very kind of sheep-like, and I just thought, is this a different race? Like, is this actually something that's going to be explored later? And then Kuro had his henchmen, or Django, I should say, had his henchmen of these two cat-like dudes, and I was like, are these guys actually a different race in the story, or am I meant to not delve too much into that? And guys, apologies if I'm skimming over people's names. I try to note them down, but I'm gonna forget some as we go on, but I assure you I am paying close attention. So yeah, Syrup Village arc, very nice introduction to Usopp, kind of low stakes battle with Captain Kuro, but I really liked how sinister Captain Kuro was, and I liked the bond that Usopp had with his three little dudes and his dedication to Kaya. It was a sweet story, and it was really fun seeing a new member to the Straw Hat Gang, and what a joy it was to see them finally get a pirate ship. And my personal highlight from this scene was Luffy's god-awful drawing of what their flag should be, and then Usopp's version of the flag with the giant nose. It was just great. And slight intermission before I talk about the Baratie arc. Yes, like everyone told me to, I did pay attention to this Buggy the Clown story that's been happening in the chapter title artworks. And I'm so desperate for him to finally show back up in the story. He hasn't yet, and I think that story is still continuing on the chapter titles. It's just hilarious. And I love how Richie, the lion, actually kind of was the leader of the crew for a while there, and it's like a rescue mission now. And it looks like Buggy has teamed up with some sort of sinister bikini lady, which I'm sure will be extremely relevant at some point. But yes, I'm paying attention to that, and it's very, very entertaining. And I liked how Buggy actually made friends with the guy who's stuck in the chest. That was very cool as well. Yeah, I hope all of this plays a bigger part into the story too. Okay, the Baratie arc. I really hope I'm saying that correctly. And this arc is when we arrive at the restaurant and Luffy basically turns into Mrs. Incredible and accidentally shoots a cannonball at it, so he has to serve there for a year as a waiter, or as like the busboy, as like the dishwashing guy. And immediately I was a little bit worried, because I was like, oh, is this gonna like really kind of slow down the story? Are we gonna get stuck here for too long? And I was apprehensive at first, and in hindsight I really shouldn't have been, because each arc is showing me that Oda really delivers on giving you a very satisfying story. And when we were introduced to Sanji, I knew it was going to be a banger of an arc, and it really was. And it feels like it took a lot longer to develop Sanji and get to his backstory than it was with Usopp, but I found Sanji's backstory much more satisfying and much more touching. I actually got quite emotional reading that one, and I don't know, I guess I'm in an emotional place in my life, or this is just really damn good. I loved seeing the origin story between Sanji and Chef Zeph, and just the twist that he had to cut his own leg off and eat it so he could protect Sanji as a child was just so touching, and it just explained their whole dynamic completely. Zeph said something, and he said, I'm gonna live for 100 years, like in a way that was meant to be offhand, but I was like, is this some world building? Is this a clue that Zeph is like some powerful being? Because this guy, yeah, he's a badass chef, but there seemed to be a bit more, and I feel like there's more to explore with this character for sure. And the Baratie arc had so many glorious fight scenes, one of which was Zoro versus the actual king of, or like the best swordsman in the One Piece world, and this was freaking awesome. This character, again, his name is eluding me right now, I'll have to recheck, but seeing this battle and seeing how good he was with basically like a butter knife against our boy Zoro got me so hyped to see just how much this kind of hit Zoro to his core, and how much this motivated him to really reach the heights that he's dreaming of. And the fact that this legendary figure let them go because he knew how much potential they had, I just love this, and I know this is setting up something in the future, and it just feels like a lot of this that I'm reading now is setting up so many characters to come back really far down the line, and that's what's really pulling me through this, because even though some of these arcs feel like their own little stories, there is definitely a massive through line, and none of the side characters feel throwaway whatsoever. Because I already noticed it with the guy who's in the chest that the gang met earlier, showing up in the Buggy chapter title things. I know this huge cast of characters, they are all relevant. Like 90% it seems are going to be relevant for the rest of the story. And you know what's weird? In this volume I had, in my volume 6, the pages randomly were printed upside down and back to front for like 100 pages. Is this worth a lot of money? Is this? I found one other person who had this issue online, but this seems to be a rare printing. I'll try and get a picture up. It was super disorienting at the moment. But I also, during this arc, I loved the villain of Don Krieg, and the fight between him and Luffy was nothing short of epic. And I loved how much the struggle was shown in these fights, because the fights in this arc really felt tense and really felt like the gang wasn't going to be able to surpass these odds. These were really powerful villains very early on in the story, which I enjoyed so much. And I love Sanji's kicking ability. That dude can kick you into space, man. It's just this crew is just a bunch of badasses, okay? They're such good people. They're such good badasses. And I just feel like every character plays off each other so beautifully whilst still standing alone as their own person. My only criticism of this arc is that Nami wasn't there, and she kind of betrayed everyone, even though I know she's totally going to stick around. But I missed her. But at the same time, it allowed more of a focus on Sanji and less of Zoro and less of Usopp. But having just being introduced to Usopp, I kind of wish he was there too. But I understand we can't have everyone on screen at all times. But yeah guys, I could literally talk about these arcs for hours. I've tried to get my highlights in here and just talk to you casually about them. If you want to hear my thoughts on any specific moments, head down to the comments, I'll happily reply to you. And if I've missed anything, please let me know and I'll talk to you about it there too. As it stands, I freaking love One Piece. I'm committed. We are doing this, and you will see me next time when I finished East Blue. This series is so beautifully fun right now, and I can't wait to see where we go next. And a lot of people told me this is going to change quite drastically as we go on, so I'm just enjoying it for what it is now, and I'm completely open to whatever it grows into. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you'd like to support me more, hit up my Patreon or subscribe and to stay up to date with how I'm going with One Piece and everything else I'm doing. Thank you so much for being here, and hope you're well. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.